Hey everyone, so I'm going to try and do some hoof trimming before we have our more wet weather move in, but I'm going to show y'all what we do, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so what we use for our hoof trimming right now is we use trimmers, which this is the Sabaton brand that we use. Let me see if I can't get a close-up of it. Maybe if the camera would focus. Oh, it almost had it. Well, anyway, so these are just regular hoof trimmers that we use, and we use a rasp, which we normally don't use it very often, so that's why it looks kind of rusty, but never fear, you can always clean them. And then we use a hoof pick. So it's got a brush on one end and a pick on the other, which mainly is just clean out the mud and everything in between on the hoofs and in between the toes. And I will show y'all here in a minute, as long as it doesn't start pouring down rain on me. Okay, so some of the things that you need to have on hand is you can have cornstarch for if any of them start bleeding, you can put that on. It works the same as blood stop powder. You put a little pinch on there. That's pretty much all you need. If it's really bad, then you can, do an ace bandage wrap, like with gauze or something, for a couple of hours until it stops bleeding. But hoof trimming is pretty self-explanatory, but like I said, whenever we get our Hoof Boss, I will give a demonstration of that as well. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is, I always tend to start with the front feet. You're gonna pick them up. You can see that hers are kind of overgrown, and I'll do a close-up here in a minute before I start trimming. You're just gonna use the pick, get all the mud, the dirt out from between them, and so this is where they are, and then you're just going to trim the excess off, and you always want to keep the white, you want to go a little at a time, because if you do too much, and she's going to talk through the whole thing, but if you do too much and you see pink, then you can actually cut into the wick, which you don't want to do that. It can cause all sorts of stuff. It can cause sores, hoof scald, little bacterial infections, all that good stuff. And on the hoof, so on the side, they have underneath all the fur. It's where their hoof, it starts. Woo. Now the wind's gonna start blowing. Sorry guys. So right here, you want to try to keep this hoof wall, which Anyway, hold on. Okay. So, hoof wall. Alright. So, here's where it starts. About where my thumb is. And right here is where her, right above my thumb right here, is where her excess has grown out over the last couple of months. So, you want to cut all of that off. Okay, so it takes me a little while to do the hooves, but, and of course I just sped that up for y'all, but, so you want to try to keep them as level, as far as side to side, you want to try and keep them as level as possible. Here, let me see. Yeah, just as level as possible. You may not be able to get that full overgrowth in one cutting, which is fine. So now we'll bring in our rasp. And I can't remember, I think I ordered this one online through Amazon. It's just a horse rasp that has two sides. One's a little bit, this one's for fine, this one's coarse. And I'll take the coarse and run it, and I will even up the hooves even more. You always want, whenever starting out, you definitely want to wear gloves, because believe it or not, right here you will cut yourself, you will shred yourself, and these are very sharp. They don't look it, but they are. They're sharper than your normal pair of scissors. So once that gets filed down to where, again, you're wanting to stay even with everything, you want to stay to where the hoof wall right here, hoof wall on the sides, and on the pad, to where you don't want it to be pink. If it's showing pink, then you know you need to stop, because otherwise if you go any further, you'll have one that starts bleeding, and it's just like our fingers. It's just like our fingers, to where if you get a paper cutter, whatever, fingers, toes, they like to bleed all the time. So then I switch over to the fine, try and polish it up, and there you go. And then whenever she goes to rest her foot, whenever she rests her foot, you can see how it's level. It's even with that hoof wall up here. And this isn't the best place, because I actually have a spot here that has to be re-welded, so it kind of dips down. But you can tell the way that she holds this leg now compared to this one that I haven't trimmed, to where, you know, you don't want them to where her pasterns, to where it's starting to go forward. You want the pasterns to go straight up and down. So, and that is how you do it, and I'll show y'all on the back one. Okay, so the back one is going to be the same, to where you take your pick, and they don't much care for the back ones. They're going to kick, they're going to really, they don't like their feet being messed with. Any goat, I think I only have like one goat that will actually let me mess with their feet, and that's only half the time. So again, you're going to take a little off at a time. You're going to start at the sides where the toe is. Here, and you can see, so you can actually see how overgrown she is. So you want to just, hey, Frost, stop. So you want to just, here's her hoof wall, and I know that it's kind of hard to see through, but it runs right here. And so her overgrowth should start about the heel and come straight across. Now, I may not be able to take that whole toe off, or overgrowth of the toe, but I'll be able to take a lot. Now, they make Hoof Bosses, which is like a miniature angle grinder that you can come in and do their hooves on, which eventually we are going to get one, and whenever we do, I will do a tutorial on that as well. Hi, Flops, go. So, Floppy... Floppy is one of Frost's kids from this year, and so they kind of stick together. Okay, so here, if you can see, you want to keep them even. So this one is a little bit longer than the other, so I need to trim that up. Okay, so you want them even, which they're pretty much even now, and as you can see over here, if you can see right here, that was starting to show a little bit of pink, so I quit. And I may have gotten a little bit more on this side taken off than this side, but it's okay. It's not that huge of a difference. And so now, whenever she stands, As you can see, her pasturing is straight up and down like it's supposed to be. And then versus her other foot to where she's long in the toe and starting to curve. Okay, so that is how we trim the hooves, and it's starting to pick up on the rein. So even though I've just got 2 feet, I'm going to finish up her other 2 off camera and call it a day for right now. And then hopefully whenever it stops raining, then I will be able to do the rest of the herd. So there you go. That's how we trim hooves here on the farm.